Hello, I'm Jo Lloyd, and this is Petplace, the podcast series by pet parents for pet parents. Today, we're talking about socialising your dog. We're coming out of a long period of lockdown, and it's time to help get your dog comfortable around other people and their pets. I'm joined once again by our expert vet Sarah Holmes in Colwyn Bay and Laura Jones from Petplace in Abergele. Welcome back, ladies. It's been a while, so let's start by getting reacquainted and learn a bit about you.
Hello, I'm Laura and I work at Petplace in Abergele. I've been with that company now for nearly 6 years.
Hi, I'm Sarah. I've been a vet for over 17 years and I'm the proud owner of Mochra Vets and Rehabilitation.
Thank you. So, socialising your pets. I mean, we've so much to talk about with this because it's not just about socialising with other dogs. It's also about the fact that we've been through a crazy isolated time with the pandemic. Separation anxiety is going to be a thing for many dogs, and some of them will never have known a life outside of social distancing. So, Sarah, going to cross to you first. It's going to be a strange time for dogs and cats, isn't it?
Yeah, I genuinely think this is quite a terrifying time coming up. I think a lot of people have got pets on a whim and not actually planned for what's going to happen when they go back to work, not realising that it's going to have potential massive negative impact on their pets who've suddenly had them there 24/7 and then don't understand what's happened. So, I can't overemphasise to people, now is the time to be preparing your pet. Your pet should be used to their own company, having sort of time by themselves. And equally, if you're the opposite and you're starting to come out of lockdown and you're wanting to do more with your pets, again, you need to be preparing them. Just because you know what you expect them to do, it doesn't mean they know what to do. And for people that maybe haven't had the opportunities before but thought, well, we'll get a pet in lockdown, what a puppy learns in its first few months of life, but what stays with it for the rest of its life and, moulds how it's going to be. I've only ever had rescue dogs, so I've taken on dogs with problems. So having a problem isn't to say that it's a lifelong problem, but people need to realise a problem didn't just happen overnight. It's happened over many nights, and they therefore need to invest that amount of time to, correct the problems they see. Like a dog will behave the way it does unless it has guidance. So, people really do need to be responsible pet owners, look to what their dogs need and how they can help them to achieve it.
And what are your thoughts on helping dogs interact with other dogs when they're out and about?
Yeah, again, not every dog wants to be friends with every other dog, and some dogs may not have come into contact with other dogs. And actually, if a dog is frightened and it's approached by a bigger dog or, something startles it, you run the risk of that dog running away, having sort of long-term problems with socialisation because it's been overwhelmed. If, heaven forbid, it gets into an altercation or something, these are things that can potentially mark a dog for the rest of their lives. And for an owner to see something where their pet is terrified, their natural reaction is going to be to panic, and they can make a situation worse. So by taking, the time your pet needs to be happy in a situation and just taking things either slowly or, coming back to things and reintroducing them, the onus is on the owner to make sure that every interaction their pet has is a happy one.
Everything Sarah said, that is exactly what I would say to my customers, really. Especially if you've got a pup or an older dog that hasn't been socialised very well, always make sure they're on a strong, sturdy lead. They have got a well-fitted harness or well-fitted collar, however it is that you're training your dog. We do sell products to help soothe them. So if you feel that your dog needs that little bit extra, there's various. So we've got plugins, we've got sprays, we've got wipes, whether it's just traveling in the car. So many dogs are so anxious about being in the car because during lockdown, obviously, we weren't allowed to travel. you're only allowed to walk to the certain spots where it was a walk from home. And that was it. So many young dogs, or even dogs that haven't been out for a while, have got so anxious or travel sickness through going in the car now. So we've got so many products available just to aid the dogs with that one. And again, like Sarah said, the same with the owners. Your dog reflects your behaviour. So if you're feeling anxious and nervous, your dog's going to feel exactly the same. They're literally going to feel that tension down the other end of the lead. So really, we can't stress enough that you need to put that behaviour in place, really. Your dog will be a reflection of yourself. So if you're feeling that way, then your dog will most likely feel that way. So really, just helps calm yourself. And that will make the world of difference, really, for your pet.
Yes, it'll take a dog 3 times as long to unlearn something as it does. And for a dog, once it's done something 3 times, that's its routine. So, we're expecting a dog to suddenly think how we're thinking when for, the last 12 months it's been doing something completely different. And I do appreciate what a difficult time this is, and I've seen it through my own clients, how anxious they are. But they don't realise how much of that feeds to their pets, and their pets don't realise why, but they're suddenly feeling anxious and they know there's uncertain things.
But this is where, like Sarah said, just taking your pup out, taking your dog out, just the hoover out, sitting outside your front garden, let them listen to people, let them introduce the people walking past, let them sniff other dogs through the fence. Little things like that make the world of difference to a dog. If you've had your dog locked up in the house for 12 months and you put them out into the big open wide world, it's absolutely terrifying for them. It's the same as yourself. If you've been in your house, you've not left for weeks on end, you take a step outside and it's so overwhelming. So just preparing your dog in the best way you possibly can will just make your day much more enjoyable, really. You want to be able to walk your dog at ease and not be a chore, if that makes sense. Usually it's, you want to be out and you want to, yes, I can't wait. You want the dog to be excited to go out. You don't want to be sat there dreading that you're going to have to take your dog out because you don't know what might happen.
Yes, definitely. I mean, one of my clients took on a puppy during lockdown, and as part of her daily exercise, she would sit at the bus stop with the puppy and let cars go past and get him used to the sounds and things like trucks. And it was such a simple thing to do. And then when people say, oh, she's poorly socialised because of lockdown, I think it's just an excuse. I think people take on puppies thinking that they've got this ready-made package, and they don't assume the work that they have to put in, and everything that how your dog turns out is the owner's responsibility, and the efforts they put in are the rewards they reap in having a well-mannered dog that's well socialized and performs well under stress in difficult and new situations.
It changes your whole day, doesn't it? You're thinking, right, I've got to think about my dog. It's not pandering. It's just preempting something, isn't it? Really, and it does build up in the stress of how you behaved. And you're right, it's little steps, but they've got to be taken. I mean, talking about hoovers, we all laugh, don't we? Like, oh, my dog chases the hoover, but Basil has always hated the hoover, and suddenly, as he's got older, obviously I think his hearing is going, he just kind of looks at it now as if say, oh yeah, that thing again, and he's not interested. So you look at a dog's lifespan and you look at age. If I take Basil, for example, as a young puppy, it was like so excited to see other dogs, and then we went through a stage where it was just him and I, and he didn't like to be away from me. The separation anxiety was quite bad, and then we were out walking, and I think he did get attacked once by another dog who he thought was friendly. Unfortunately, it wasn't, and that memory must have stayed with him, because then it's as if he needed to protect me every time we went out for a walk. Now, that went on for some time, no matter whatever I did, and then all of a sudden, as he's got older, he's not bothered anymore. He's just like, oh, hi. His socialization's changed. And do we see that a lot in older dogs?
We do, yeah. I mean, I think a lot of that as well is down to the owner. I mean, when you go out, have you become more relaxed? If you're constantly worried what his reaction is going to be with another dog, then that is, again, like I said, going to reflect on him. But if you, over the years, because you've got to know him better, you know the signs, you know how he's going to react with certain people in certain environments. So maybe it's because you've become relaxed. He doesn't feel the need to protect you because obviously you're the big strong owner behind him. He's relaxed. He's enjoying life, basically. He doesn't feel like he needs to protect you. It could just be something as simple as that one, really.
Yeah, and also he was better behaved with other people than he was with me. And they're like, he's got no problem socialising with other dogs. It's you're at fault. So I completely get that, and I'm sure you've seen that a lot, Sarah.
Yes.
You can tell me off now if you like.
Yes. Well, we did it with our own receptionist, and she has a Jack Russell as well. And she was so convinced that as soon as he saw another dog that he was going to kick off, that she was automatically tightening the lead and then panicking. And Rory was then doing it because he's thinking, oh my God, something bad's going to happen. My mum's terrified, not thinking, oh, she's worried for me. And then the minute we went for a walk together and I was like, just drop the lead. And she did it. And he's like, oh, what now? And then we walked past and he didn't even bat an eyelid. So, yes, unfortunately, dogs can have problems, but it is mainly the owners that are the problem.
It's the Jack Russell thing.
Yes.
Little dog syndrome. I'm not having any of it. As I say, he's been better with other people, and he's been better when he's not on his lead. But now as soon as he kind of got to about 10, that small dog attitude just completely changed. And maybe my attitude's now changed because I'm like, well, I know he's not going to kick off because he's older. And you're right, it's me that I need to go in and be retrained, I think.
If you're feeding your anxiety down the lead, he doesn't know what you're anxious about, and he's just picking up. And yes, it is tiny dog syndrome, but he's out in front of you on the walk and therefore feels he has to protect you.
Yeah. Now, obviously, lockdown is starting to change, and as it's lifted, we're all hopefully going to be welcoming people back into our homes and mingling more. And I can't wait for that. Want people in the garden, want people to be able to come in and have a nice meal and things. But it's going to be a bit of a shock to the system for pets, especially if they haven't socialised with other people. And it's a kind of king of the castle kind of thing, isn't it? It's like, well, these new people coming into my home. Sarah, what would you suggest for that?
So even before lockdown, when there were things like New Year's Eve or bonfire night, there are things you can do to plan ahead. So definitely having a safe space for your pet. So a crate that's covered, a private area behind the fridge, or a dark place under the table that's just for them, that they can go to and be away from everything is really important. And if you are planning on having people around and stuff, and it might be that they've got babies, or they're not used to older people, just being able to send them to a safe space that's for them would really help. And a lot of the products that Laura talked about, the wipes, the sprays, the plugins, you can be using those now in preparation for these things happening. And it is just a case of preparing as much as possible and sort of making the situation easier for the animal. Again, we've predominantly been talking about dogs, but cats, don't necessarily like strangers. They want to have a safe space that they can run to or climb on and stuff. And it's just about being able to sort of give them access and a plan that if they're overwhelmed, they've got somewhere to go. And if they want to hide, that you just leave them be. There are CDs and things available where you can get sort of pets more accustomed to noise and stuff, and you just play them on a low volume, and it just gets them used to sort of noise and things happening, rather than just suddenly on Saturday everybody piles round and will want to pat the puppy, and the puppy's like, what the hell has just happened?
Yeah. It's like that. We were talking before about, well, would you get into a lift and everyone's like sort of all immediately the attention is on you. It's that kind of an example, isn't it?
Yes, I mean, if a puppy is hiding somewhere, the worst thing an owner can do is go down and either force them to be in a situation or actually go down to them. They think, oh yeah, look, my owner's hiding now as well, it must be terrifying. So if they are worried and they are scared, leave them be, give them the time. Once they feel confident and they come out, they will be so much easier to deal with the situation because they're doing it on their own terms. If they're forced, they can just quite easily shut down, and that could undo months of good training and positive reward. So it's a team effort with you and your pet. You need to sort of make plans and do things to make it easier, but equally you want your pet to do it on their terms.
So can we talk about something that you may or you may not agree with? Crate training, cages, what are our thoughts on that? I'm going to ask you first, Sarah.
In the right situation, I love them. I think if you're going to use it as a tool because you're going back to work and you're worried that your pet is going to be destructive, I think that's a whole different argument. But as long as the crate is used as a positive thing and you reinforce it's a positive thing, that there's beds in there, there's food, stuff like that, I think they're great. But if you're using them potentially as a long-term solution for avoiding other problems, I don't think they're great.
I completely agree with Sarah on this one. The crate really is, you want to use it as the dog's bedroom, as the dog's den. If you've got people coming round, put some home comforts in there, put a blanket over the top and leave the door open so the dog can come and go as they please. The same as a pup. If you do it as a pup, let them come and go. If they're feeling overwhelmed, they can go into their bedroom basically. I would never advise to use a crate as a form of punishment. If your dog has been, I don't know, if the dog's had an accident, has been a bit jumpy, been a bit noisy, and you go locking them in the crate, they will never ever feel that as their comfort place. In that way, you've reinforced it in a different, in the wrong way, really. If you've been using it as a punishment, if you then have people coming round and you lock your dog in that crate, they think that it's a bad thing and they will never relax in that situation that they've been put in, basically. It'd be like you locking your child in your bedroom, in their bedroom as a punishment. In their eyes, it's a bad thing. They don't want to be in there because they've been punished for being in there. It's the exact same way. It's the same thing, really.
And they'll see it as a prison rather than a safety place.
Exactly. So it can cause a happy dog to be anxious, to be stressed, and it just makes that situation 10 times worse. If you're trying to relax your dog, but then you're locking it in somewhere it's not enjoying, then you're completely undoing everything you've taught it in the last few months, basically. So from day one, really, if you have made a decision to crate train your puppy, leave the door open, let them come and go, reward them when they're in there, and just leave that door open for them so they have the opportunity to come out and be part of the family if they want to be.
Yeah. Yeah, no, what would you suggest, both of you really, is we're talking about going away with our pets, maybe for the first time, and they're used to their crate at home. Would you take that with you? Because you're then introducing an unfamiliar surrounding. As in, would it affect their socialisation? Because we're putting them in unusual surroundings, textures of floor even, they might not be used to treading on, wooden floors or tiled floors, and then all of a sudden you're in a farmhouse or whatever. Is sleeping arrangement very, very important?
Definitely. Sleep is the most relaxed state they're going to be in. Hopefully after a day of enjoyment, they're going to naturally be tired. But having a crate is fine. And again, depending on how you travel, it could be easy to have your dog secured in a crate when you're in the car. But even a bedding or a blanket or something that is familiar to them and that you can use a command like bed or something where they know they can go and relax, having something like that, it just makes it easier wherever you take them. In the past, I used to locum and I used to take my Labrador with me, and as long as she had her bed, she would be happy wherever I put her because it was hers, and she knew that when she was on her bed she could relax and she wasn't having to sort of worry. So having something that's familiar for them is, like a child having a special toy when they go into hospital, or, doing something for them when they're on a journey, that they've got something for comfort.
Yeah. And what about you, Laura? What's your thoughts on that?
I think it depends on the individual. If you've got a dog at home that loves, like you said, one of your dogs loves using the crate, it's his comfort. If you've got a means of taking that with you, I think it's a great idea, because if you're in a completely new environment, new smells, new furnishings, every little thing you wouldn't even think of makes the world of difference to a dog. So to have their comfort place with them, just for them to relax that little bit in the evening, would make the world of difference. So like Sarah, if it was a bed, if it was a crate, if it was a blanket, if it was a toy, whatever it is, something familiar to a dog will just help comfort them, help them relax, basically. So with the crate, I think it is a great idea if your dog enjoys being in the crate, really. It just helps relax, helps soothe them. Again, with the travelling, not only is it a safe way of travelling, but if they're relaxed in the crate, by having that in the car with them, it will just make that journey a lot more easier for them.
So we'll move on now to talk about the pros and the cons of actually making that decision to spay your dog. Because, people have bought a puppy, bought a little girl, and then, or a little boy, and they're thinking, right, well, at what point do we make this decision? Sarah, what are your thoughts? Obviously, you must see this an awful lot.
Yes, so at our practice, we actually offer free pre-neuter consultations, so we can fully talk to people about the pros and cons, because there are massive variations between when to do them, if they're a giant breed or a small breed, or, do they need their hormones and stuff. So there isn't a one-size-fits-all. Overall, I do think neutering your pet is a good thing. If you've got a male dog, you have longer in their age to do it before you still see the health benefits. For females, if you neuter them sort of earlier on, you can reduce the risk of sort of mammary tumours, womb infections, things like that. So there are more health benefits to females from being done earlier than a male. But sadly, we're seeing unwanted pets and problems. I think neutering is a great thing. On the opposite side, with cats, we're actually very proactive, and we will neuter cats from 12 weeks of age. We're part of a scheme to try and reduce the number of unwanted kittens, and it's actually been proven in cats it's safer to do the younger they are. There's no sort of side effects, so I'm definitely pro neutering.
So I was reading the other day that there is an estimated 3 million extra pet owners since the pandemic started in the UK. That is just crazy figures, isn't it? And such a high demand for products, I expect then, Laura.
Oh, most definitely. We have seen so many new people come through our doors that we've never even met before. I mean, it's absolutely amazing to get to know new people, but keeping up with product demand, it can be really difficult at the moment. So obviously that is one of top priorities for Petplace at the moment, to keep up with new demands, with new products as well. We're always looking forward and looking for new lines, new things to help aid new owners with their puppies, basically.
Yeah, and not just a fashion thing, actual, something to help with training and such like. And Sarah, do you have a top tip then for socialising? For instance, if you've got a little nervous dog and a little bit shy of socialising, you have an easy top tip?
Yes, definitely. If you see any dog wearing yellow, whether it's a ribbon, a band, something on their harness, take that as a warning. Not that the dog is bad or is going to attack or anything like that. It just means that that particular dog needs space for whatever reason. So, be mindful and respectful. If your dog's off the lead, put your dog back on the lead. Speak to the owners, find out why they've got a yellow tag on it and why their dog needs space.
It's such a simple thing to do, isn't it? Ribbon, bandana.
Yeah, you can see it from a distance. It just prepares people that for whatever reason, your dog needs space.
It's a really, really good idea. Laura, can you tell me about Pet Park? What is Pet Park?
Wow, Pet Park. So many of our customers think it's the most amazing thing ever. I mean, we have met so many new people through Pet Park. It's basically a enclosed, relaxed environment. You can bring any age, any breed of dog. We do sessions, hourly sessions. So we have puppy play, where they can interact and learn how to socialise and learn how to be a puppy basically with other puppies. We have senior play, so more relaxed, quiet. So even the older dog gets to have a bit of enjoyment, just even if it's for half an hour. We do large breed. Obviously, it just allows them to be their big bouncy selves really. And again, with small breed, lots of little, sometimes yappy, but lots of little dogs just interacting and being themselves. It's ideal if you've got dogs that haven't got very good recall with it being fully enclosed. We've got an indoor and an outdoor area. We've got interactive toys, exercise equipment, just to help stimulate them really. And when they've had their play, you can sit down and they can have a treat. We do dog deli treats there. So while they're eating their treat, the owner can have tea and cake as well. So many people have met and made new relationships with each other while meeting through Petplace. They now come on a regular basis, on a weekly basis, just to meet up really. So it's new friends for the dogs, it's new friends for the owners as well. It's a great way of socialising, just to help people get out there really.
And for anyone that doesn't know the Petplace, they actively encourage you in the shop with your pet. So there's lots you can do and lots of stuff that would help you, sort of meeting strangers and stuff.
I can completely understand that. But tea and cake's always a winner for me.
Always.
Oh, most definitely. Definitely, yeah.
Thank you both so much for taking part in a great episode about socialisation. Thanks so much and we'll catch up soon.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Don't forget, you can get more information and advice from farmandpetplace.co.uk. That's it for another episode. See you next time on the Pet Place podcast, when we'll be looking at more ways to become better pet parents.